As investigators continue to search for 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie, FBI investigators are trying to probe more information from the cryptocurrency address listed in that first alleged ransom note. Cryptocurrencies, like Bitcoin, run on a public blockchain. It acts like a bank's ledger. No government, no single company controls the blockchain, but authorities are able to see the addresses and transaction keys that are made on these digital currency exchanges. Let's bring in Ari Redbord, former Undersecretary for Terrorism and Financial Intelligence. He's also a former U.S. attorney. You know, the cryptocurrency is very difficult for a lot of people to understand. You know, it's in the first note, it's mentioned there. And the first question I have is cryptocurrency truly untraceable?
No, it's a great question and a great opening to this segment. I really like how you laid out the fact that the blockchain is in fact visible. So no, cryptocurrency transactions are not anonymous. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Every single transaction in Bitcoin is on a public ledger, which means that it is trackable, traceable, and immutable, meaning it's there forever. And that allows us to use tools like TRM, investigators and law enforcement and compliance teams, to track and trace the flow of funds in real time to build investigations that we never could in the traditional world. You mentioned I was a prosecutor for many years. I investigated cases involving bulk cash smuggling and networks of shell companies and art and diamonds in ransom type cases. And the reality is we can see visibility and trace transactions on blockchains better than we could in the traditional world.
So that's interesting, Ari. You know, as you think about this then and the way that this would work, if the family was to pay this alleged ransom, how difficult would it be to then track it back to an identity that you could then potentially obtain and have someone to prosecute?
And obviously, I mentioned as a prosecutor, I would never get into any pending investigation, particularly one this serious. But sort of at a higher level, certainly authorities would be able to track and trace a payment in Bitcoin. And really what you're trying to do then is associate that address with other addresses. Are there any known criminal networks associated with this? Has this address been used in this way in the past? And you track and trace the flow of funds, and really you're hoping that those funds eventually go to a cryptocurrency exchange. And why that's so important is because that exchange likely has the underlying user information, right? We see an alphanumeric address on the blockchain, but cryptocurrency exchanges have that know your customer information. So then law enforcement follows the flow of funds using TRM ultimately to an exchange where they send a subpoena or other legal process to actually understand potentially who's behind that address. And then you do all those things that great police work entails. You find out what is their email address and maybe send an email to their subpoena provider, a subpoena to their email provider, or a subpoena to their phone provider. You start to look at cell tower records and cell tower data and try to triangulate. You do surveillance. So it's really the blockchain allows you to track and trace the flow of funds to build an investigation, but it's really just one tool in a toolbox that investigators have in a case like this.
So stepping away from the cryptocurrency and moving to this alleged ransom letter that was transmitted, let's say transmitted via email. So if something was to be transmitted via an email, some viewers may say, you know, why can't you track the email? Why can't you get the identity of the email? But you know this as an attorney. There are subpoenas involved. These can take time. And is there any way to expedite a process like this when you have someone's life potentially on the line and you're dealing with subpoenas, trying to get behind maybe an email address and find an identity?
It's such a great question. And the answer is absolutely. This is what I would describe as exigent circumstances. And I promise you that law enforcement is moving as quickly as possible. And these platforms, right, email platforms, you know, and even end-to-end encrypted messaging app platforms are used to law enforcement moving quickly and maybe even providing legal process, you know, after the ask is made, right? You are trying to move, someone's life is in danger here, and we're trying to move as quickly as possible. Obviously, you need to do all the things the Constitution requires, and those are being done too. But I'll tell you that in a case like this, I know that law enforcement is moving as quickly as possible and not really derailed by sort of long, you know, legal processes for sure.
No doubt. Have to abide by the Fourth Amendment and all the protections there, but the exigency would certainly speed this up. Ari, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Appreciate it. Well, as we look at this, there's a guest that I've been very interested in speaking with as we look at the search into Nancy's home. It's day 7. You know, we are once again about 2 days. It's Monday, that second deadline in that note. And with that, let's bring in retired FBI agent Richard Kolko. Richard, I saw you earlier in the week, and I thought this was fascinating and just very good advice for anyone out here watching. And it was the first I had heard about it. The importance of, when you are a family, having a word that, God forbid, this ever happened to you and there was a kidnapping and you're trying to get proof of life. An individual, a family member, would know a secret word only your family would know that could then be transmitted to investigators, proof of life, and maybe solve a case like this in a ransom situation. We know there was no proof of life in this letter, but if you could explain the types of things a proof of life could be.
Well, proof of life, you need proof of life and proof of possession, two different things. You have to make sure they actually have her in contact. That proof of life, that secret word, very important, but things have changed over time because people typically would use the name of a pet or the street they first lived on. They went for kind of the easy answer. But now with social media, people might have a picture of their dog from 7 years ago, and the bad guys might be able to guess that. Anybody who's traveled overseas, I got to travel to some war zones, you do what's called isolated persons paperwork, so that if you are kidnapped, you've got that word, and it's documented. We had it documented at the FBI. Military does a similar thing, and having that word for your family is important. But I say make it a little bit more complex than just picking the name of your dog, because if you find yourself in that unfortunate circumstance of being kidnapped, the kidnappers might be able to get something as simple as that out of you. But it's very important.
Very good practical advice. We're looking now, this is earlier footage. These are the investigators, the third search of the home, on the roof. They also looked at the garage. I believe we have a picture, and we can pull it up, of the blue Subaru that they took away. What do you make of this focus on the roof, this wired device outside the home, the removal of the car on third search? What does this all say to you?
Well, it says to me that they probably were very successful in the first couple of searches, because if you go in, do your search, get everything you need, send that stuff off to the lab, maybe you succeeded. But what might have happened is something has come back, a return from one of those earlier searches, maybe some information based on interviews that have been conducted with neighbors, potential suspects, anybody else, and that's what's brought them back to the house a second, now a third time. Not a big concern, and super easy this time, because you know the family is going to cooperate. If it's a different kind of building, a facility that they've searched in a criminal matter, then you might need a warrant. Actually has a time period on it. Once you've executed the warrant, you'd have to actually get another warrant. But you know that the family here is obviously consenting to everything that law enforcement needs.
You know, this is such an odd case, and I believe we have this statistic that we'll put up, and this is elderly abduction. And you can see on this chart, we'll show you how rare it is to have someone who is over 80 years old abducted. And you see there how the numbers just dwindle, and it really is a handful of cases each year. And then when you pair that with a stranger abduction being exceedingly rare, the idea that a stranger would take an 80-year-old, this is very odd. Have you seen anything like this in your career?
I've seen a lot of kidnappings, but not so much in America. This traditional kidnapping, what's called KFR, kidnap for ransom, has just gone away, mostly because of technology. Now with phones, social media, license plate readers, toll readers, all kinds of things. It's difficult to grab somebody, take them, hold them, and demand a ransom. That's what we saw in the movies decades ago. But you can't grab somebody and say, hey, leave $1 million in the phone booth, because that's just not going to happen anymore. There are some crypto kidnappings going on, and actually 75 miles south of Guthrie's home, there are a lot of kidnappings going on from the drug world, but that's unrelated. That's paying bills off. But as far as in America, as you said, the number is very low. The actual abductions, stranger abductions in the United States, is only between 1 and 300 per year. So something like this is very rare. I was going through the books, history books. It's been a while since we've had what we call that KFR, that traditional kidnap for ransom.
Wow, that really puts it into perspective. And when you mention those abductions that have happened 75 miles south and paying bills, so those are separate in that there's a reason there. You're wanting maybe a drug cartel. It's a totally separate.
It's all cartel.
It's all cartel related.
It's all cartel, and they rarely call the law enforcement. It's somebody's kidnapped because somebody owes money, and that's just the ongoing drug war there. But there's a lot of that does go on. Law enforcement does get called in when it's a U.S. citizen, but that, and certainly in other countries, we know that there's a lot of crypto kidnappings that are going on around the world right now. But that's different, because what they're doing there is they're grabbing the person that owns the crypto. So they've got the crypto code to get the money. So they're not sending a note to anybody. They're torturing or beating these people till they give up the code, they drain their crypto, and then likely let them go because they got what they wanted. But that's what's happening in other parts of the world. And unfortunately, I think we may see that eventually here in the U.S. as well.
Richard, thank you for sharing with us your expertise. It's a crazy, the anomaly of all anomalies is what we have, and the first time in a while in the history books. Thank you.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.